So what are some of the elements of effective prevention? One, that research, right, that I talked about is it uses evidence-based prevention programs, practices, and policies. I am going to pause right there and clarify to you, because throughout this session, you're going to hear me probably say prevention programs, but you're also going to hear me say practices, and you're going to hear me say policies, because that is something that as a new prevention provider some years ago, I had to learn that prevention wasn't only about a canned curriculum, right? A program that I pull off the shelf and then implements it, right? Prevention is bigger than that. It's more than that. It's about what are those practices that are evidence-based, but also policies. Because logically, there may be some things, some risk in your community, or the data may show that there are things that are going on in the community, right, that a program won't fix, but a policy will. So I don't want you to think that prevention is only about programs. It's about programs, it's about your community practices, and it's about those policies. Those are those ordinances and those laws that you are able to, as a prevention practitioner, to change, to work with a coalition, an organization, or a group to change. So it's not only about programs, but it's about evidence-based. There was a question in the chat about having access to the slides afterwards. And the answer to that is yes, you will have access to these slides after the training. So thank you for that question. What else are what are the other elements of effective prevention? It focuses on the outcome, right? It doesn't just focus on a program. It focuses on the outcome. Why am I emphasizing that? What I mean by that is that when you develop, when you have figured out, this is what we want to do in the community and why, or this is what's going on in my community, then you develop an outcome statement that says, we would like to increase this or decrease this. Then you design how you're going to get there. But your focus is not on your how, because usually your how is your program, your practice, or your policy. But the outcome is the thing that you're trying to get rid of. So there are many, or those are those things that you're trying to do. There are many different ways that you can get to an outcome. And I would like to have you remember that when you're doing your programs, it's about the outcome, because there may be different strategies that you will employ that will get you to your outcome, not just the program. If that program leaves, if that program isn't effective anymore, then I want you to point back to that outcome. And that is what effective prevention is. It focuses on the outcome, and it builds around that outcome by saying these are the different types of programs, practices, or policies that we could put around it. Okay, I'm gonna get to my next point, and then I'm gonna ask you questions. Prevention efforts are targeted across multiple domains, and they are facilitated by the use of environmental strategies. That is saying what I said before. As we went through our historical, the little history of how we evolved to doing strategic prevention framework now, there was this thing called comprehensive prevention, where we hit on different domains. One of those domains being young people, right? So we build our program around young people. Then we grow out and say, okay, now I'm gonna build my program around the youth, that the peers that impact that youth. So we have strategies that focus on peer-to-peer interactions. Then we build out more and say, well, what about the school domain? That's where young people are. That's where they thrive. That's where they come, every day for about 6-7 hours, right? So what type of strategies around prevention do I have in that domain, which is my school domain? And it isn't about, school domain isn't about your program being in the school. The school domain is about you changing the way that a school approaches prevention. Much different from, oh, we're working on the school domain because we're in the school. No, that still may be the individual domain. You're just in that school. School domain says you're working on things about that school. And does that school have a policy around prevention?